Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. And she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away.
Awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So that way when we're live streaming, we can get like right now. People like when we screw up. So
When you screw up, maybe.
yeah. So when I screw up. No, it's gonna be good. Okay, cool. We are on. Excellent. All right, let me bring that down. Yeah, I saw that today, so I'm gonna reach out to her and see. She might actually do it, honestly.
Yeah,
like
that'd be cool.
That would be super cool. Just and to get out a little, even if she did like a 20-minute piece or something, just promoting her stuff.
Yeah.
We do it at a good time for a lot of interviews, so I'm gonna start reaching out that way a lot more. So cool. All right. Well, welcome everybody. We were just playing with stuff. We actually have music, so you can actually have a little bit better than a blank screen when we first start. So but tonight is going to be about herbs of inflammation. I'm sorry, herbs of the immune system, which will be so cool. Let me get to there. Okay, hang on. Let me escape. Go to there. Okay. Yeah, I always got to remember that. Okay. Yeah. So how was your week?
Good.
Yes. We got a lot done. We got a kid from college home.
I saw that. Is she happy to be home?
Yeah, I think so. I think after after your first week, it's like, woo.
Yeah.
And then as she gets more comfy, I'm sure she will be good. But she got to go to her first like Death Star football game, which was so terrible. Going to the Michigan game. Terrible.
I tell you what, though.
I think her week went good though. It was it's such a cool campus. So
yeah, I agree.
I love it. She was cracking us up. She was like, the one thing she just did, she's not in love with their chicken. Right. And so that's like a main staple at the Myers house for her.
Yeah.
That was the one thing. She said all the other food is fantastic, but why chicken? Wasn't any. That's funny.
When my sister went there, she was still a vegetarian. So she had a little bit more. And back then there wasn't as many choices for vegetarian.
Right.
So
I was an everything eater. To have dessert every day, dear Lord. That would impress me all day.
Heck yeah.
That's awesome. But no, I was talking to Amy tonight. I'm going to try to the doctor that I took the herbalist degree through. Her name's Tiarona Lodog. She's just like tonight released. They're going to do a documentary on healing foods, or foods for healing. Like basically, I looked at the whole lineup and I watched the documentary, and there's going to be Dr. Lodog will be in there a little bit, and then there's like 17 other experts in chef herbalism. Lot of good connections there. What's crazy about this world is they're some of the nicest people ever to connect with. So it's very easy to get them on a little show like what we have right now. So I'm going to reach out probably to all of them at some point, and just get their in their take on things. Cause I think this Sunday night thing puts it really good for interviews like that. So I think that'll be fun. And it gets my old podcast brain back, where I absolutely love doing that. So hopefully you'll see more and more of that as we go, not just me talking. But tonight will be a little bit more about the talking part. So here we go. So this is the immune system, a little bit of more information than we've had in the past. It's super important time frame. That's why we're doing it now. It's from September to about October is really your time for preparation for your immune system. And what I mean by that is this is the time when the sun goes away. This is the time when it gets a little colder out and you're more indoors with a lot of other people. It's a lot of times also when you stop eating as well as you did prior because school has started and all those kind of things. And we know there's a ton of sugar in those kind of situations, but this at this point, September to October is a really good time to like go in and after that immune system and just making sure, I hate to be this way. Nothing you put over your face is going to work comparative to making sure your immune system is running correctly. Okay. So I don't care how protective stuff you put on, unless you put on an entire astronaut suit, you're not going to protect yourself. And so with that said, we have to do our best to protect us with our own. The best protection we can is like having a really healthy immune system. So that's what tonight will be about, and a couple different things other than herbs, but it'll be good. So let me do the screen share thing. All right, here we go. So it's the 1% tribe and the immune system. Pretty picture I found.
Mhm.
All right. What we're going to go over tonight is a quick overview of the everyday supplements to enhance your immune system. The food strategies that can help you have the best immune system possible. We'll go over that. And then some physical activities, which are a little different than we've talked about in the past, but we kind of have in some of the 1% tribe to get you there. Okay. So let's go through what type of herbs can help. That's a little later. The first thing we have to go over is what your actual diet needs to go through. Okay, so this is number one before most other things. Okay, so we're going to kind of break it down into diet, vitamins, herbs, and then you start going. So a lot of times I hear, one of the things that is a tough thing is when you have, let's say, I'll give an example of somebody comes in with a Coke in their hand and they're eating a donut. I'm just making stuff up at this point, but they have those two things, but they're so excited that they got elderberry as a supplement. That doesn't work. That's like a combination that doesn't get it done, right? Because your body has to take on these supplements and these vitamins. We have to be in a good state. You can't throw fertilizer on the asphalt, right? And then expect there to be a garden at the end. There has to be something there to set it up. So these are all outside influences. So remember, the body, it needs no help. It just needs no interference. So we have to make the best environment first, and then a lot of those supplements will help. You hear it all the time. Well, I take elderberry, but I'm still sick, right? Well, you didn't tell me about the 7 Mountain Dews you had and the 3 chocolate chip cookies. That's the kind of thing that we need to understand going forward, especially in the immune system, because it has to be a perfect balance. So my first always thing is reduce the amount of sugar, especially in the morning. So in the morning, when it starts getting cold out, we immediately go to like a hot coffee. Those coffees have a bunch of fake sugar in them. The fake ingredients in there are an immune system problem. They really don't like it, or your immune system doesn't like it. And so it's active. So it's in this prep phase of like actually working the entire time instead of being being down or dormant and waiting for an actual problem to happen. So we actually create a immune system problem by bringing all this sugar in, and then then we walk into a place where there's several immune system problems going on, right? So let's say you go to school. Why do kids get sick as soon as they go to meet other kids? It's not because the other kids have germs. It's because the kid is that can be a thing, but is the immune system of that child where it needs to be going forward, right? So that's where my biggest thing, and the biggest thing that taught me well, I used to start with a donut and a latte in the morning before I started working on patients. I'd get the flu every year, doing that. When I started doing black coffee and no sugar before I started working on patients, not a thing happened, right? So I never got the flu or any other kind of crazy stuff that's out there. So that is a big key ingredient that we have to talk about prior to any of this other stuff working for you. Okay. So begin to eat clean, which is, find a way to get it done. Water helps a ton. In making sure your water intake in the cold environment is up there, and it's good, because a lot of times huge amount of people have issues with not taking in enough water in that time because we don't feel like drinking water at that time. So that is something that I really, you're talking 64 ounces minimum a day, which, it depends on the size of the person, but it should be up there, and especially as we get into the colder environment. And it doesn't have to be cold water either. Sometimes you can throw a lemon in a warm water, like teas can help that, with those kind of things. It doesn't have to be just water. And then the biggest one that I've learned over this herbal training is there's a way to get your immune system reset. So one of the things that I've been learning about is when people have like chronic immune system problems. So let's say they start eating correctly, like try to do all these kind of things. What can you do on top of that? Let's say you have somebody that just gets sick all the time. Well, one of the ways that we've seen work, and in kids, I bet you it's only like 1 or 2 days you'd have to do this, but like a 4 to 5 day, if everyone remembers the old Atkins diet or the old keto style where it's just fats and proteins, it's a fantastic reset of the immune system, because a lot of times, especially if there's a lot of times there's not a lot of immune system problems with meat or fat, right? It's not, your body doesn't like lose its mind on a lot of those kind of things. So it can be really, really good as far as that goes. So that's a key to everything. A lot of times I'll set somebody coming through and having chronic flus or those kind of things. I'll make them do this, where they're doing a keto diet for like 3 to 5 days. Okay. So it might not be your jam. It's a really good way to reset stuff, and start learning how to like burn that actual fat off of you as well. So those are the major diet things. Amy, you're good?
Yeah.
You got any questions?
I had a question. So even though you're saying no sugar, or are you saying no sugar or no artificial sugar? Like, could you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good question. So for the most part, the biggest thing to do is no sugar whatsoever.
Yeah.
Sugar, like natural sugar, any of it. If you can get away with it, do it. If you can't get away with it perfectly, then natural sugars like honey.
Yeah.
Cane sugar is another good example.
That's what
I'm not going to put stevia in there.
About. Yeah.
A lot of people think stevia is good for you. I'm not sure if stevia is actually, I'm not going to say it's good yet. So I got to see some more stuff on that. But I aim people for those. Anything from nature, typically it'll actually burn, right? So I'll do an example. So this is a molecule. Let me see if I can do it. Okay, so this is just a note card, nothing special. So this is a molecule of sugar. Okay. So what happens is let's pretend this part. Okay. So now, oh, shoot. All right. So there we go. So here's a molecule of sugar, right? So it's this part of the card is sugar. This part is the little truck that's bringing it in. Okay. So there's two parts. So that's why artificial sugar is such a problem, because it brings sugar in and then it's burnt and left. And then you have this truck that's there, and that's the artificial chemical that's the problem. So then your immune system goes, oh crap, I have a foreign invader into my body, and therefore I must attack it. Well, if have you ever seen it's happened in Battle Creek before, there will be somebody's trying to rob a bank or a store, and they'll call an emergency for those police at the other end of town. So all the police start headed over to the other end of town, and then they hit the store on the opposite side. That's the same idea. It's the exact same concept. The immune system's overactive and busy getting rid of this chemical that's in there, and then these bugs and particles and whatever are coming at the person, and their immune system can't. It gets overwhelmed, and that's the problem with getting sick like that. So, you got any other questions on that? That is a good one.
No, I think, and when you say begin to eat clean, you're talking like Whole Foods, nothing with like a label on it, right?
That's what your ultimate goal is nothing with a label, right? So if you can name the ingredients that are in there, you're good. Like almost like a guy said the other day, a friend we went to dinner with, he was at a motivational speaker, and the guy said, if it has ingredients, stay away from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if there's that, so try. Obviously, these are 1% improvements, right? This is not like what we're going to change it all like tonight. However, it could be a really good opportunity to like get in there, and those kind of things. So yeah, I think so. Any other ones? That's good.
Nope,
though.
that was it.
Cool. So that's where we got to start, though. We have to start there in immune system talk, because that's our biggest problem, is like changing people at that structure before they start dumping a bunch of stuff down there. Like there's so many immune system supplements, but the garden's not ready. So we're throwing vitamin C onto the asphalt and then hoping that'll turn out okay. So all right. So this is where you guys heard this at length. Hi, Sadie. I heard
Yeah. She came in for a second.
Yes, she did. Vitamins. So vitamins are a very key part. These are not herbs. They are supplements, though. So vitamins are a big deal in your immune system because we don't get enough of it. Hi, Sadie. I keep doing that to her. Sorry. So I think Sadie eats her vitamins. I know that already. But
yep.
This acronym is pretty good that I learned when we were going over recovery from COVID. Herbalist put a couple trainings on, and I really like this. It's called ZACES. ZACES. Zinc, vitamin A, C, E, selenium. Okay. Selenium is a little new one to my normal list, and E actually, but that tells you can add those pieces, right? And find a supplement that may have all of those in there, right? So that could be a good thing. Vitamin C, there's a lot of good opportunities out there. Like that's something that I like. Well, we'll talk about it in a minute. So quinine and quercetin. Quinine and quercetin are things that you can add to your vitamin regimen that allow the zinc to get into the cell. It also it helps stop the virus from having babies. So it doesn't. That's one of the reasons quinine is hydroxychloroquine in the natural form. You can have it every day. Quinine has a fascinating history. The reason people were able to start exploring the rainforests and not die of malaria was quinine. because they would drink the quinine water, the tonic water that had quinine in it, and the malaria couldn't virally load onto the person. So then I heard this the other day. We lost 75,000 Americans to building the Suez Canal or the Panama Canal because of malaria. So, and then they finally figured out something that would stop that. Essential fatty acids. So essential fatty acids, your fishes, your, a lot of different things that have those essential fatty acids, huge in under making sure that your body has all the right tools in there. Vitamin D is not in the ZACEs. I know, I can't think of how you'd put it in there, but vitamin D for me is probably above ZACEs because of the ability of it to be a hormone that is like your alarm system to your house. You've heard me say that a bunch of times. Vitamin D level is crucial to having your immune system act properly. So think of vitamin D as your, what is it called, Amy Wynn? What are those people called that take the calls for police officers?
Oh, dispatch?
Yes. So vitamin D is your dispatch work. And if vitamin D isn't up to code, your dispatch only has like one person up there with 27 lines. Does that make sense? That makes more sense. Yeah. Or it's not working or something like that. So think that way. So if your vitamin D level's right, all the dispatch lines are clear and everything's running smooth. Vitamin K2 is going to be an important thing for any kind of, now that we understand a lot of these like other weird viruses and those type of things, it helps the regulation of blood and allows that immune system to flow properly. So that's why vitamin K2 is huge for a lot of things. We'll go over it with bone health as well. But that's one critical one. The big thing on a lot of these, I really, really advise you to come like talk to Amy or I or something, while you're getting this kind of lined up so that you understand what you're taking, right? So the vitamins are good, but remember, if your diet is junk, then that's kind of a mute point. You're like, I'm not supposed to get sick. And then you ate all this junk before you're going to, because you're not setting it up in the right framework. Okay, so now we can go into the cool herbs of the immune system. You got any questions on the vitamins, Amy?
Just one comment. Jeremy and I had talked earlier this week or last week about a family member of mine who is outside all summer long, like literally 10 hours plus a day, and gets tons of vitamin D. But he recently went to the doctor and his vitamin D levels were a little bit low. And I asked Dr. Jeremy, how can that possibly be a thing? Because he is literally outside every day, all day long for his job. He said, because his gut is probably messed up. So we need to add a probiotic. So don't assume that because you're outside for your job or whatever, don't assume that that's enough vitamin D. You should have your levels checked to see where they're at. Probably, I would imagine in the fall, before any time of year really, but because in the wintertime in Michigan, it's worse, but have it checked so where you're sitting with that.
Yeah, a lot of times, so that is a true statement, and you hear it all the time. And so because sometimes it's weird, because let's say you have a person that goes outside all the time, but they start having those symptoms like immune system, sick all the time, fatigued all the time is a big one with vitamin D. And all of a sudden they're having that, but they're like skin so dark because they've been out, they've been outside for as long as they have. You have to think of other things. That's why, that's why that gut health stuff is so important, and that vitamin or even the increase of water, the increase of water there can be a huge, huge piece of that as well. So yeah, that was an interesting one. But once you start putting all the pieces together, it makes a lot more sense. Like his level of vitamin D supplementation should be like almost nothing, and now we know, okay, so he's not getting enough of the foods maybe too that are rich in that vitamin D. because he might aim for a different area too, right? So that's pretty interesting. So the herbs of the immune system are awesome. A lot of studies on how good these are. Okay, so people live by them. It is really good. I'm fascinated with all of these. You could add these as teas, tinctures, tons of different ways. Amy and I are working on, well, we're going to have a place where we're going to get a lot of these different like have these at our office in various ways as well. Right now, get the best one you can. Most of the time, if you're just watching this video and we haven't really started in the herbal realm, but you'd like to, teas are where to go. Okay. Tinctures are pretty powerful. So you got to be a little careful there, right? Because, like as we start doing this stuff, there's not really care. Like you're pretty good as far as that goes. The biggest thing is just knowing what you're taking and making sure there's an actual lasting effect. So echinacea is probably most widely known. Well, actually, probably echinacea and elderberry are probably the two most widely known ones. Surprisingly, echinacea fell off the map when elderberry came in. I think it's because they can make them into gummies and they're delicious, and echinacea is not so much. But they should. Amy got us. My whole office found some herbal gummy stuff, and I think that's a winner. Holy smokes! Everybody likes ashwagandha ones. Ashwagandha always in our list. It always fits because ashwagandha does every organ pretty much. Astragalus is another really good one. That's really good for hormone balance as well. Gandoderma, I haven't talked a lot about. That one's fascinating as it goes. Shiitake mushrooms. My dream at some point is to take and understand. That is the next step of the herbals, is like understanding the mushrooms, because the amount of immune system benefit in mushrooms is just expansive. It's huge. And so a lot of those, like as we learn them, shiitake is one of them. Reishi is another one that I really enjoy. That one is in the Chinese medicine. It's a very, very good one for a lot of different things. Panax ginseng. Ginseng is another great one. Typically, you don't have to know a ton about how they work, especially if you go into, that's that time. But these are the teas you're going to start looking for right now, right? We don't have to get crazy. It's still 90 degrees outside, right? But it wouldn't be a bad idea to start getting your eggs in a row as far as that goes. Okay. Yeah. And then that was the big thing. On all of these, it's like with the vitamins, it's a really good idea to kind of have a sit down with us, and we'll try to get you a good game plan as far as that goes. Because being sick all winter is terrible. So no one wants to do that. And I haven't dealt with that in years. So I see it all the time, and I feel bad for those people that are miserable. That's what sucks. All right. This is kind of interesting. So these are herbs that kind of fit different, I would say, like personality types or life types, I guess. I wouldn't say personality types, maybe. I would, because you could choose a high-end, high stress lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I never can say this right. Urethro. It's an adaptogen, which means it tries to take every organ and put you in that homeostatic point. The adaptogen is like, it wants you to be up and down, on and off. It wants you to have that perfect homeostasis, right? And homeostasis is super important in all of our organs. And this one is a high stress lifestyle, or high speed. So they're going like crazy all the time. This is the person that's busy all the time, doesn't even know what they're busy with, but they're busy, right? So that's just how their brain and their whole life is kind of running. And then passion flower. Passion flower is one that I've used in the office, actually. Maybe one day I'll have her come on. She's fantastic. She was having a lot of stuff, a lot of personal issues, super supportive family around her. A lot of just bad crap happened to her. And this lady worked 2 jobs all the time. And they were both jobs that she felt so good because she was serving another person, right? So she knew her passion was to serve others, but life had thrown her so many curveballs that she was really, really struggling. And we sat down, and it was kind of one of those cool moments where, before I would have just said, go get him, Tiger, or whatever, like having those kind of conversations. But she tried passion flower tea, and because of how stressed it was, it like took the edge like right down where it was like instant, which was just the tea, which that doesn't happen that often. So that one, it will be near and dear to my heart because of her and because of that situation for a long, long time. But it's those people that are super empathetic. They're prone to burnout because they are going, they're a service to others, a lot of those kind of things. You see this with a lot of doctors, nurses, massage therapists, anybody that's gone into something to serve another, and you can have that burnout aspect too. So those are pretty interesting. So just remember those, because if your body is tired and fatigued, it's going to delay your immune system response. So a lot of times, and we'll go into that in a minute, because sleep is such an important piece of the puzzle. All right. And then this last one, I don't expect you to know these. To help to balance that parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, these are something. Pulsatilla, verbena, peona. I believe. These are different species of plants that I personally, this is just from information. I've never used them myself. However, that is what they've been really good to do. So those are some good ones that you can kind of play around and experiment with. My God, there's so many herbs. It blows my mind that there's not just information after information on every channel of everything on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much there. It's absolutely incredible. But anyway. All right. So now we can talk about what we were talking about. So people that have sleep deprivation is a very key to understanding why immune systems are struggling. There are so many chronic immune system inflammatory. Most of your chronic diseases have something to do with the immune system. So the amount of them, we should not have as many as we currently do in society, obviously, but sleep deprivation is a very big part of it. And so what happens is, if we don't get, I think it's between 4 to at least 4 hours. I think the top end would be like 7 or 8. So somewhere in that realm of good, solid sleep, which a lot of people aren't getting because of jumping around and all those kind of things, your immune system suffers, because just like the alarm system of your house, or like everything, your body has to be alert too, right? So if you are tired, imagine what the cells of your body are doing, right? So you got to think in that concept, like we are this fractal matrix of like what we are. So those like little like those little pictures that you see, one shape after another, and it just keeps going in an infinity. So think of that when we're talking about sleep and how you're feeling. Okay. So here's the problem. So people believe, and this is not true, that you can never recover, right? There's no recovery concept. One of the doctors that did the COVID webinar, he's very big on this. He has a bed rest recovery concept that he runs. He does a bed rest, and you sleep tell the it's really hard to do this because of family and other things. However, if the doctor and everybody participates and says, all right, this is how we're going to do it, you're to basically lay in your bed, fall asleep when you're supposed to for hours at a time. So like 12 hours. He couldn't believe how marked the recovery was, on people that actually took it seriously. So what he would do is you'd sleep, let's say the recovery day is Saturday. So he would say, okay, go to bed on Friday, wake up, don't leave the bed. So you can bring a book, you can do anything. When you fall asleep again, right? So just keep doing that when you're still feeling good. That's the key, right? So we're tired all the time, but you do this in with the rest of your family, because a lot of times they ain't gonna understand if you're just laying there. That's crazy. You don't want to just do it, right? But you might want to take those times. I liken it to when you have that vacation. And all the vacation is, I've had one of two of these vacations where all you're doing is eating food. You're getting up, whatever you want. You go to the beach, you lay on the beach, right? You're sleeping there, right? You might swim, you might do some other stuff, you might read a book, sleep again, like all the way through. And you feel so good. It's like, don't think of it as like your bed rest and like the dark, like those kind of things. Think of a beach day from top to bottom where that's all you do. And maybe that's how you do it. Maybe you go to on a vacation spot that you're like, literally, we're doing nothing. My kids, we went to Outer Banks, North Carolina, where you can get this house. And literally it's outside is the beach. Like you don't have to walk at all. You just walk from your place to the beach and that's it. And we had an amazing time because everything we did was just downtime stuff. I thought with my ADD brain, I'd have a lot of issues with that. Like it stressed me out even thinking about it. And then we go and it was amazing. Like you could take a nap here, whatever. Right. And that was that bed rest recovery can be a good concept for you. So do you have any questions on that, Amy?
No, but yeah, I think for people to have like a full recovery, you almost have to be away from your house sometimes, because otherwise you're thinking, oh, I could just get up and go throw in a load of laundry, go empty the dishes or whatever.
Exactly. And some people vacation much different than that, right?
Yeah.
So some people vacation where they have all this activity. That's great too. But maybe all you need is like a 3-day weekend on the beach.
Yeah.
And literally nothing, right? And it's really good. What I've noticed is it's really good for your kids too. Like at first they want you, right? And then make it so that they have access to everything that they need, right? You're going to watch them and stuff, but they're going to get that same relaxation piece to their lifestyle as well. Like if you're bored, read a book, right? All of a sudden they start liking reading books, right? And so I think our family has always loved those vacations by far the best. Like if the vacations have to run off of my brain, that's when the kids have issues, because I want to go do this and do this, right? Where we could have this fantastic situation, like as we go. So yeah, that's a big piece of making sure your immune system's good too. So, all right. So now let's see. Oh, I put in links, so we'll see how this works. We're doing well on time, so we're good. Okay. So get cold. So I'm surprised Amy's still here, because I thought as soon as she saw Get Cold, she would like just boot out of the Zoom the entire time. But Get Cold means when it becomes cold out, we need to start understanding our role as human people that want to adapt to our environment. If our environment means so much to us, why do we hide from it? Like we really hide from it in the wintertime. The rest of the time we are good. right? How good does it feel when it's like awesome outside and all that kind of stuff? Let's make it awesome outside all the time. Let's try to do that, right? It's not going to be easy each time. But one of the things with the guy that we had heard before, this Wim Hof, one of the things is that cold allows your body to understand, like, it's not going into this horrible environment. So think about your immune system in a nice temperate climate. It doesn't have to take that on, right? So it's your immune system. Let's say it's a perfect functioning immune system. Well, then I'm in 72 degrees every day. So I'm 72 degrees every day. And now it gets cold, right? So then my immune system goes, oh shit, this could be a bad thing. Warning signs. Everything starts going crazy because they're like, this can't be normal. I'm going to do some stuff. So I'm going to, do what I can. I'm going to shiver. I'm going to like tell your brain, oh shit, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. Those kind of things. So, or it can go the other way, 71 degrees, 72 degrees. And you go when it's 110, right? So the 110 degrees and we stay out of it. And then as soon as we hit it, there's something in your brain that goes, this can't be okay, right? And then your immune system is going to react appropriately or against that. That's why when people have winter sports or things they enjoy in the winter, they're so much more healthy. You will notice that almost every time. Like as a doctor, I see the skiers are like, I've never seen any with flu or, those kind of things. They don't come in sick. They might, but they're so amped that they get to go skiing and snowboarding and whatever they like to do, or ice fishing. Dear Lord, no flu has ever stopped an ice fisherman. Let's just say it. So that's something. Once you get your body adapted, our job is to make sure that we adapt to our environment, and our bodies have to be ready for that. And that's where that cold stuff comes in really, really good. And that's why you have to say cold is not our enemy. It is absolutely the way to homeostasis. I'll give you an example. One of Rachel, when we went back to Canada at Christmas time, one of my brother-in-law's friends came over to check. He's the HVAC guy, and something happened to their furnace, so he had to come over and check it real quick. The guy was barefoot, and there was 5 feet of snow on the ground, and he's driving barefoot to the house. That's what he did. He never wore shoes. Wintertime, anytime. This guy, he's like sailing in the Caribbean now or something. But this guy never wore shoes. Didn't matter how cold it got. He just never wore them. And I'm fascinated. When I saw it, you always see stuff in your face for a reason. And that one, I'm like, why? Why would you not just think the socks, they're so warm and nice. Why wouldn't you not? And then I'm like, wow, that's fascinating that he wouldn't do that. Right. So that was the big thing. But cold is not our enemy. Neither is high heat either. We have to come to that understanding, and that will lead our body into a better wave pattern. So we'll do it again at some point. Homeostasis, the more we're able to adapt, the better we do, right? So that is a good one. All right, so I'm going to play a couple videos. If it works, let's do cold first. So on this slide, because we're almost done, when he goes through the cold and what his belief on the cold in the immune system. The next one is going to be about breathing for the immune system. So this one I haven't watched fully yet, but I really am interested. So here we go. Hopefully it'll do it.
Ready to be an econ. You get so much more energy and so much more peace because the stress will go out of your body. You say that everyone would benefit from taking a cold shower every day. Why is the cold so powerful?
The cold, without a doubt, very directly, very effectively, very strongly, is able to tackle the biggest health problem in the world, which is the cardiovascular related diseases. And we have the organ, which is called our skin, and we never expose it to natural elements. And it is built to be able to be stimulated. The electroreceptors, thermal receptors, they are all in the surface of our skin that are directly close when we take a cold shower, like an electrical jolt through our spine to our the deepest part of our brain, the brainstem. It's being alive. Oh, yeah, the shocking experience that you are surviving. That is a great way to not only give a jolt to, say, an electroshock to your brain. For people who are into depression, this is great. You just take the cold shower and your depression is going to be depressed. So that is one. The other thing is, we got, all of us, we have 100,000 kilometers, like 70,000 miles of vascular little channels, capillaries, arteries, and veins. 100,000 kilometers. That is a lot. That is like 2.5 times the world. Is in each and every one of us. They contain millions of little muscles, and they help the blood flow going through, but not if it is in a condition after we have been living with clothes all the time, which is a destimulative behavior, and which makes the muscle tone go low. And who has got to compensate for that? That is our heart. Our heart is pumping more than it should. It's pumping more because it tries to get the blood flow full of oxygen, the nutrients, and the vitamins to the cells. And it is not able to do that. You weaken yourself because you are in stress. And that stress creates oxidative stress through the continuous presence of cortisol. And that is when the heart rate goes up. That is normally done when there is danger, to pump the glucose through the body. And the adrenaline, that is when there is danger. Now it is danger because we have a weak condition within our vascular system. Maybe not when you are young still, but when you are 30, 35, 40, it begins really to wear out. A cold shower stimulates all the vascular muscle tone, and thus the blood flow will go better to the cells. Heart rate goes down with 20 to 30 beats a minute, 24 hours a day, and the energy is being fed. The energy processes, the metabolic mitochondrial processes are being fed with all the oxygen, nutrients, vitamins, all what is needed. You get plenty of energy. So when you take a cold shower a day, it does not only keep the doctor away, as a saying, also the doctor is doing it. Because it is great. It's like a vaccination, a natural vaccination where you make your body the way nature meant it to be, with a great blood flow, which doesn't know inhibition, fears, blockages, sclerosis, or anything like that, because it's flowing. There is no cortisol, no oxidative stress going on. This is the way nature meant it to be. Everybody in the world should take the damn beautiful cold shower a day. It is not difficult. And the investment is by far the outcome. You get so much more energy and so much more peace because the stress will go out of your body.
For people who feel inspired to go, okay, all right, Wim, I'm going to try and have a cold shower. What is the minimum amount of time they need? What is the temperature they need it to be? And is there a difference if they're tense or whether they're relaxed and slow breathing?
Exactly. So first of all, know that everybody is capacitated by nature, by birthright, to go into the stressful natural environment called the cold. So a cold shower is cold. a cold shower you are able to take on any day. That's first one to know. Now, if you are in a vascular condition which has been alienated from going into the cold stress ever, then of course you have to take it step by step. But it goes very fast. You begin with a hot shower, and then you get into the last 30 seconds of cold. Turn it to cold, and then your vascular system is very well able to, in this case, passively, because you got into the heat of the hot shower, then it works like a sauna, and then have a cold dip. It's passive because you got a lot of heat, and so you are able to lose a lot of heat passively through taking on the cold shower. 30 seconds to begin with is activating, igniting the memory cells within you, the genome expressions in the cell to adapt to the situation. That's the way the DNA works. So in 30 seconds, it's able to deactivate, to give this spark of neural activity that initiates a different neural activity that directly influences into the vascular system. The vascular system and the neurology are tied together, and they know how to act. And in the 30 seconds, to begin with, anybody can do that. And from 30 seconds, the other day, you do 40 seconds, 50 seconds, up to 2 minutes. In 10 days, everybody is able to take for 2 minutes a cold shower, 2-3 minutes. And at that point, you are back at your natural condition of your vascular system. Is when you are able to get into, say, natural bodies of water, like in the UK, in wintertime. And we are, in the end, mammals, guys. And it's great to feel the mammal inside, because it's very powerful. You know that mammals are very powerful in weather. They sleep outside in rain and the cold and this and that. See how far we got away from that.
Yeah.
So once a day, getting into a cold shower, everybody is able to do. And with that, the outcome is tremendous. Many books can be written just on the outcome of what a cold shower is doing. Physically, mentally, astrally, spiritually, emotionally. It's all different bodies at work, because it all relates to a great blood flow. The transportation of ours, the vascular system, is being uptoned through the cold shower.
Do they then need to do anything with their breath? Or, is there something people should be trying to do? Or they just need to tolerate the cold for as long as they can?
Don't cramp up, follow the breath. Don't cramp up, no contraction of your muscles. You can, what do you do is when you really feel cold, and it's not cold right now, guys. The cold shower is good. It's thermogenesis. You are exercising the vascular system when you take a cold shower now. That is great. But in winter, you're going to meet your true self within the elements of nature. And that is a great experience. And for that, we condition our vascular system. And it always goes through long out breaths. This is the way you go into the cold shower, and then the body is able not to get into panic, not into paranoia. No, it's able to adapt. The thermogenesis is able to do what the body is able to do. If you do this, then the body is not able to do what the body is able to do.
If all you do, right, is take a cold shower each day and you do nothing with your breath, right? Even that, I'm guessing, will have some benefit, but the benefit is magnified if you also do the breathing. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Here comes in the power of the mind. Because once you learn to control your breath, going into the cold shower, you enter into changing getting a hold on the stress upon the body through holding your breath, to stay on with the breath. With that, you only, it's the beginning of getting into the stress mechanisms inside the brain. And then the unlocking of the potential to neurologically control the stress mechanisms of your brain is beginning. And it can go very fast. It can go very fast that you learn to control what you could not control in the past, which then created fear instead of confidence. Now you will learn to have confidence because your brain now is able to be entered into these stress mechanisms to activate it whenever you need it. It's like instead of being helpless, suddenly you have a gun in your hand. You are powerful. You are powerful against the stressor coming in. I'm not into war, guys. I'm not a cowboy. I'm into peace. And bringing peace is bringing a true confidence that you are able to confront yourself with any kind of stressor.
Really hope you enjoyed that conversation.
All right, cool. That was pretty good. I love him. So let me move. You have any questions on that, Amy? I'm gonna talk in a minute, or if you don't, let me see. How do I get this? Come here. Oh, go back. Okay. So for me, one of the things that you have to understand, like as what he was talking about, was the idea, and it makes sense, like your vasculature. Think about like what happens as we age. Our extra outside vasculature in our feet, our hands, all these different places start to go away. Why does that occur? Because we're in everything's fine, right? Everything, we never really move out of this homeostatic like 70 degrees in our whole life. And so what occurs is then your body gets a stress reaction anytime a really, really cold environment. And so it's so good for you in those sense of the everything of that. So he did a great job of explaining. I won't keep you going on that, but that cardiovascular system is the thing. He had my brain going crazy on how many things we could easily find with, just, I mean, how many times have we actually done that to ourselves, like caused our own heart problems because of the extremities? Because guess who goes to Florida and then comes back here so in Michigan we have all these snowbird people, right? Snowbirds leave in the winter and then they go down there when it's 80, or and then they come back up here when it's 80, right? So they're literally, the weather stresses them out so much that they're willing to move, if that makes sense to you. So I always think of winter and the summer as the same. You see that in my head, I have this picture of this big warrior that's just walking through whatever. It doesn't even bother him, right? So it's cold, it's snowing, the wind's going, and all you see is that picture of that guy just walking right through that crap, right? That guy's not stressed by his environment. And that's the key. So this one's the last one. This one's the immune system breathing technique. This is a little shorter video. It's just good on the different. So Wim does a ton of different breathing styles, for different things. This one's the immune system breathing technique. So I just wanted to show you some of the stuff we're going to go into too, like as our 1% tribe keeps growing. So we're going to see.
This is the Casper wave.
So this one's pretty quick. We don't have to do the whole thing.
If you take the bits of a dead bacteria and introduce them into someone's body, in all likelihood, the person's immune system is going to flare as if it's under attack. As harmless as dead bacteria might sound, the body will still react as if it's being invaded. These dead bits are also known as endotoxin and are a major red flag for the immune system. When your immune system does find endotoxin in the body, it will trigger the release of different proteins and physiological changes. It will make a person feel sick. Symptoms such as fever, nausea, headache, shivering are caused by your immune system gearing up to fight off infections. This is known as the innate immune response. It's fantastic. You can take any person, inject them with endotoxin, and watch them feel terrible for a short while. And that's what scientists at Radboud University did, with over 100 people, mapping out a predictable innate immune response. Now, it wasn't believed that one could voluntarily influence the innate immune response, but that's exactly what happened when scientists at Radboud injected Wim Hof with endotoxin. Using the breathing method he developed, he was able to dampen the immune response to the endotoxin's presence by flooding himself with adrenaline and stimulating the release of a key messaging protein, interleukin-10. This was achieved through voluntarily influencing the autonomic nervous system, the same system that beats your heart, remembers to breathe for you, and prepares you to fight or fly in the face of danger. A system that, for all intents and purposes, should not be controllable, because if we did have control of this system, we might forget to breathe or beat our hearts because we were thinking about cake. Yet this is exactly what happened in the case of Wim Hof, voluntarily flooding his body with adrenaline, deliberate influence over his autonomic nervous system. So what should be done? The possibility is that Wim Hof had different genetics from the average person, giving him the unique ability to withstand the endotoxin. So a larger test was needed, with more participants performing the same techniques designed by Hof. 30 healthy male volunteers were gathered, 18 of whom would be trained by Wim Hof, and the other 12 the control to the larger endotoxin experiment. The 18 volunteers went to Poland to train in a mixture of meditation, cold exposure, and the breathing technique over 4 days, and would enjoy a god of swimming in freezing cold water, standing and lying in the snow, and for the ultimate test, climb a mountain at the elevation of 1,590 meters with wind chills of minus 27 degrees Celsius, all done in shorts. Very nice shorts too, the kind you wear at the beach. Those who weren't trained, the control group, were injected with endotoxin. They exhibited the typical symptoms and reactions of the innate immune response. Not a fun thing to experience, granted, but we suffer for science here, and yeah, they suffered. During the experiment, a lot of information was kept track of. This included the composition of the blood, cytokines, catecholamines, white blood cell count, and various physiological changes such as heart rate and temperature. This group did not commit to any breathing techniques, simply passively enduring the endotoxemia. The trained group, on the other hand, did commit to the breathing techniques during the first 2.5 hours of the 8-hour experimentation, and in the end were successful in dampening their innate immune response. But what happened? Well, let's walk through this. There were lots of fun bits of information collected, and I'll try to condense the more interesting parts. Firstly, most clearly, the trained group had a lot more adrenaline from the very start of the experiment due to the breathing, as compared to the control. This burst of adrenaline from the very start correlates nicely with the production of interleukin-10, an anti-inflammatory cytokine or cell messaging protein. Here's the control for comparison. It's a little flatter. The anti-inflammatory element of interleukin-10 is that it inhibits the release of other cytokines that contribute towards inflammation and mediation of the innate immune response. As a result, the trained group had a less pronounced release of these inflammatory proteins compared to the control, had less acute symptoms, and recovered faster. Here were the cytokines kept track of in the control. Here they were in the trained group. Notice the difference in release. Far fewer in the trained group because of interleukin-10. Now, even though the inflammatory response was suppressed, white blood cells were not. Having adrenaline in the system actually stirred leukocytosis, an increase of white blood cells in the blood. Here's a graph showing the control's white blood cell count over the 8-hour experiment, as compared to the trained volunteers. Some of the categories of different white blood cells were also measured, but the experiment was limited in that not all subtypes were counted. So, stirred from adrenaline, it appears as though the immune system was still humming and working in the background, despite a dampened inflammation response. Being able to dampen inflammation is also wonderful news on its own. It implies an interesting alternative to those who suffer from excessive or persistent inflammation, especially when considering autoimmune diseases. The study of which this animation is based off is a precursor to more investigation. It had a small sample size, but the results were astonishing. The influence over the autonomic nervous system was probably the most striking part that even Peter Pickers, one of the scientists who orchestrated the study, expressed his surprise.
Onze belangrijkste conclusie, ja, dat we nu voor het eerst heel duidelijk en onomstotelijk feitelijk hebben aangetoond dat een mens dus wel in staat is om zijn autonome zenuwstelsel en zijn immuunrespons op een vrijwillige manier te beïnvloeden. En dat was echt iets wat in de tekstboeken staat, dat kan niet.
If there's one thing this tells us, is that there are deeper layers of our bodies that we can consciously explore, a potential we should study, a potential within our biology, and it's all there in front of us. So, let's have fun exploring.
Yeah. So now you see that was pretty good. So so basically it's saying exactly what we're trying to teach in every one of our 1% tribes. What did they do? They prepared the body. The body needs no help, it needs no interference. So if we're good with all of our different environments, it's going to be awesome. And so once you start taking those steps, taking those, I'm not a huge 90-degree guy, right? But I take those steps, the amazing feeling you get. And I'm a very much more cold guy that can handle a lot of those things. It's going to be fun this winter when I really put it to the test, because I'm going to do that. We're going to probably stay outside all day, maybe do the shorts and yeah. I don't know if I'll climb a mountain, but the idea is so fascinating to me that it blows my mind. It makes total sense once you look at why it occurs, right? Blows scientists' mind. From a holistic perspective, it makes all the sense in the world. So Amy, you got any questions on that?
Nope.
All right, sweet. So our last slide of the night is, what are we going to do? Reduce the sugar. Get your gut right before you start worrying about the vitamins you're doing. So start eating cleaner. It's time, September, October, into that time frame. You want to start that pattern of eating cleaner on better and days that you're in front of people, especially find them a good vitamin source site. Like these vitamins we were telling you about are super important. So make sure that they're at a higher level of quality as well. Evaluate where your sleep is. Are you falling asleep? Like, what is that? Be okay with not having the energy you want to have, or, those kind of things. Sometimes it's just the way it is. Talk to us on like setting up something, but also think about those environments coming in there. Maybe have one layer less, in the wintertime. So, but that is it. That is all I have. And Amy's good, it sounds like.
Yes, I'm good.
We stopped at 9:01, which is pretty impressive. I had a feeling it would be a long one. So I appreciate you guys watching. Especially right now on Labor Day weekend. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I can't remember. Next week has to be with something with movement, I'm sure. So exercise or something. So
Okay.
I would think. All right, cool. Well, enjoy your night and have a good one.
See you Tuesday.
See ya.